in the beginning, parents might not notice, especially if they don't have other children to compare to. Like if this is their first baby, and they don't have little brothers and sister, the baby doesn't, or they don't have maybe cousins. And so the parent might just notice things like, well, gee, my baby seems to be a lot fussier than it seems right to me, or than other babies that I've noticed, or my baby, has a hard time with feeding, with latching onto the breast, or like when they move to solid foods, the baby has trouble handling the food in their mouth. They spit things out, or they aspirate, they choke a lot. They don't like to be held. Most parents, you think, oh, your baby likes to be held and rocked and all of those kinds of things. And, some of these babies, they don't like that. They just want to be left alone. And it's because they don't like the feeling of, your hands moving around on their skin. Um, or they don't like the sensation of being lifted up and down, and being
Mm-hmm.
moved through space. So, and of course, that's very puzzling to a parent. It's like, what am I doing? I'm just, moving you from the crib to the high chair or what have you. I just didn't. I wasn't aware that this would be typical. And then, of course, some of those same proclivities travel with the baby into toddlerhood and
Yeah.
preschoolhood. And so they may be delayed in walking, or their other motor milestones are also delayed, or sometimes they may skip over creeping and crawling and go straight to standing and walking. And of course, most parents would say, "Oh, wow, my child is advanced. They skipped over those lower level forms of movement and went right to walking." Well, the possibility is that they did that because it's such hard work for them. Many times their muscles don't seem strong, very strong, or they have what we call low muscle tone, which I know you've had some presentations by physical therapists, so your folks would have a better understanding of that. Um, but it's a lot of work, pushing up against gravity, maintaining your head against gravity, gravity pulling down constantly. And so standing is a much easier position. And but unfortunately, that also kind of robs the child of those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
because creeping and crawling are so important for the two sides of the body to learn how to coordinate with each other. And also, the child doesn't have the experience of, using their hands and their arms to support themselves, which is an important stage in the development of hand skills and then fine motor skills. So those children frequently start to have handwriting problems when that's an expectation, when they start to use a crayon, or or pencils. And we find out that they have trouble drawing their shapes, or they have difficulty with copying letters or writing their name or whatever it might be. um, and some of that is because of coordination problems with controlling the hand, but it also may be due to visual processing or visual perceptual deficits, so that what their brain is actually see or interpreting from what they're seeing is not really accurate. And or they have trouble with, if they have, once they begin to be expected to start reading, being able to pick out the relevant letters of the alphabet, or, you know, be able to discriminate a word from a whole sentence, things like that, that seem, almost intuitive to the rest of us. They're not picking up on those separations. And And so,
Mhm.
you may start to see some of those visual perceptual issues coming to the fore during this very important preschool and early elementary school years when they need to acquire those basic skills. Um, and I think
Mhm.
then what starts to happen is if they have what we call sensory hyper-responsivity, they still have those overreactions to touch or to sound. Those are some of the most common. And so, they don't like to play with toys. They don't like the way they feel, or because they haven't had a lot of experience with playing with toys because of not liking to. Then now they've missed that whole developmental sequence with, learning about relating objects in space and, how things work, just kind of basic mechanical skills. And the tactile hypersensitivity can also affect inside the mouth. So now we have the child being a picky eater. They don't like either, they want everything as far as taste goes, they want everything to be very bland. They don't want anything with a lot of spice or flavoring in it. And so those children, now I know you have maybe a different diet in Cyprus, but like here, the kids just want things like mashed potatoes, French fries, a lot of starch, or they only want chicken because I guess to them chicken tastes smoother or something. So it can go by taste, but it can also go by texture. So they don't want anything that has a lot of texture that's going to, you know, um, that they can feel inside of their mouth. And so, parents have a hard time with that.